Yeah.
it.
When the excitement's high and you're trying to make dinner and all the kids need all the things and trying to get everything wound up before bedtime, your brain can be a little unreasonable.
Welcome to the Simplified Organization podcast, 15-minute conversations with real moms about managing our homes and family life cheerfully to the glory of God. We can actually enjoy housework and love being homemakers when we focus on truth and work with gratitude. I'm Mystie Winckler, homemaker for 23 years, homeschool mom of 5 with 2 graduates, and author of the book Simplified Organization, Learn to Love What Must Be Done. I write and podcast at Simply Convivial, and I run Convivial Circle, a community helping women to excel at homemaking and do life cheerfully. And today I have one of our members in Convivial Circle, Lainey Lee. Lainey is a wife, 12 years, mom of 4, 2 girls and 2 boys, ages 9 to 1. She lives on a farm in eastern New Mexico where they raise cattle and race horses. She is a stay-at-home mom, but she spends most of her time helping her husband on the farm and ranch. So thank you so much for joining me, Lainey.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
So we just recently finished the Ready 5 annual review process. And on your final survey, you said that when you were brain dumping, it became clear what was important and how interconnected everything was in your plan. And I'd just love to hear more about that process and kind of encourage women to take that little bit of time to brain dump. It feels like extra work or busy work that's not going to really be helpful, but it really is. So I would love to hear your experience with how it was helpful for you.
Yeah, so I am one of those people who I've heard of brain dumping for a really long time, but like you said, it kind of just seems like busy work, something that's like, that's something I can do and I can count that, but it doesn't really actually do anything. I'm one of those who wants to do it. I don't want to, I don't want to sit and think about it. I just want to go. And so to sit down and write it all down, it sometimes makes me frustrated. And then I just end up writing lots of things and it gets messy. But when I sat down to think about my goals, I thought about in the past, I'm very goal oriented, but I'm also, when I don't reach that goal, I feel like a failure and I just quit everything. Or I'm the opposite extreme where I don't set any goals because I know I can't achieve them, kind of thing. And I had actually listened to some of your seminars and some of the things where you talked about how that's not any good either. You can't not set goals, but you don't need to set extreme goals. You got to find that middle ground. And so when I was brain dumping, thinking about all of the things that I want to improve in my life, things that we're already doing, things that I want to just do better, it all tended to surround around 3 things. And those 3 things were devoting time to prayer. One of them was being more attentive with my kids and enjoying them more. And the other one was to not let my circumstances control my emotions and my attitude. But as I listed 15 million things, it all came back to those 3 main points. And I don't think I would have ever come to that. I think I would have come up with set goals of, I want to do this by this many days. You know, we all want to work out. We all want to lose weight. We all want to do these things. But when you get to the core of it, you really want to be the best version of yourself for your family. And you can't do that without spending time in prayer. You can't do that. I mean, you need to work out, you need to exercise, you need to do those things, but that's not the ultimate goal. And it just helped me realize, okay, yes, there are these goals, they are attainable, but what is the core of that goal, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, I think sometimes we think that brain dumping and seeing all those thoughts on paper will be overwhelming. And at first it can be
Mhm.
overwhelming to see all of that. But seeing it all allows your brain the space to process it and
Mhm.
notice those connections.
Mhm.
And when you tie it all together that way, then it's less overwhelming because there
Yes. Yeah.
are single connection points.
Yeah, and I've noticed we're here the 14th of January already, and I have not kept up with those 3 goals very well. I'm trying, but it's not one of those goals where it's like, I did it today, I did it today, I did it today. It's not one of those that you can track day by day. It's just an overall thing. And I think that I would have gotten hung up on something that was a day-to-day check and probably already given up by now. Whereas brain dumping it and seeing that, is a lifestyle change. It's not something you can check off. I get frustrated with myself and I'm like, okay, I know I should be doing better in this. But at the same time, I'm not at the point of giving up because you can't give up on your faith. You can't give up on your kids and you can't give up on your attitude or else you're in a world of hurt. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I have to keep going. I want to keep going. And I don't feel like a failure at this point. I probably will hit that every now and then just because that's, the perfectionist in me, but it's something that I continue striving for. So,
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes brain dumping then after you've found those focus points to then say, okay, well, what are some specific ways or where could I iterate?
yeah,
The brain dumping helps too with that processing and figuring out how to iterate to take the little steps forward because none of
yeah.
those are life overhaul.
Right.
And
Yep. And like we would like it to be. Like you said, January 1st, all right, I'm a great mom now. It's all going to be easy. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked that way yet. But yeah, I do. And I haven't had thought about brain dumping the specifics like that. And one thing I will say for those who have a hard time brain dumping is even after I've brain dumped that, I still have lots of brain dumping to do, but at the end of the day, you're tired. You want to just sit on your phone. You want to just go to sleep. You want to just do these other things. The last thing you want to do is brain dump. But I mean, I find myself having a hard time going to sleep. I could brain dump whatever's running through my mind before I go to bed, and I'm going to end up with a better night's rest. I haven't done that. It's something I should do, but it is as much of a waste of time as it feels like it is because you're just writing things down. It does give you peace of mind and it does give you clarity and it does help you see, like you said, iterating, okay, where have I done good? Where could I do better? And what are the actionable steps towards that? Because without brain dumping it, it's all in your head. You move on to the next thing. The baby's crying, the husband needs this, whatever it may be. And that's left on the back burner. And then you go to bed with all of these swirling thoughts. So it is helpful, although I'm not the best at it yet.
well, it takes practice.
Yes, for sure.
So what did your brain dumping look like? Or what has it looked like so far? Like lists, different people brain dump different way that like comes out in different.
Yeah.
So what does yours look like?
Mine is a list. I know in the past, like I've heard of brain dumping for many years, and I've tried like the bubble, you write this here and the webbing and all of the fancy things. I'm also that type where I'm like, I want it to look right. I want it to be right. I don't want to miss anything. I might do it wrong if I don't do it this way. So I'm going to miss something. And I'm slowly getting rid of that thought process. And I just write it all down. I mean, this was my goal. It's all just straight down the line. And I have notebook pages of just, there's no rhyme or reason to it. There's no like, you have to do it this way. It has to look this way. You have to start with this topic. I know sometimes I get stuck on topics and I can't think of anything and my mind starts wandering. So then I start writing the things I'm wandering on because then it might bring me back to what I was supposed to be paying attention to. So yeah, just straight lists, simple. If there's one less thing I have to think about, that's where it starts, is just writing it on a piece. Even if it's like the back of one of my kids' papers they brought home from school, I just find a piece of paper and write it down. I probably need to be more organized about that. But if it can get it off my brain real quick instead of being overwhelmed and then cranky towards the kids, then I just take whatever I can find and just write down whatever it is that's pressing on me right then.
That's great. So then if you do the little brain dumps on scraps of paper and whatever, what do you do with them after that? I think people are sometimes nervous about having notes then that they'll lose or then they don't know what to, that's like, all right, I brain dumped. Now what am I, now I have an artifact
Right.
that I have
Yeah.
to keep for forever.
I'm probably not the best example, but it is just like a stack that I have my little planner. It's not very big. And one bit of advice I have for anybody is an undated planner for those of who are perfectionists and like freak out because their planner is like wasn't used for a week or a month. An undated planner is the best thing in the world because you're never behind. And so I grabbed that thing that has all these notes in it, and then I have those stacks of papers and I just stack it all together. And then at the end of the day, I can go through it. If it's not important, I throw it. If it is, I write it down somewhere else more concrete. But yeah, it's just, like I said, I'm not the best example, but it's just a stack. It doesn't have to be fancy. And I'm also the type that, wants all the notebooks for the specific things. And now I end up with 50 notebooks half done. And because they don't have the right things in them. So it's the simpler, the better, just to stack with my planner on top of it.
Actually great because they have a home, they have a place,
Yes.
and probably a little bit of time between doing the brain dump and
Hmm.
then looking them over and either tossing them or putting the information where it needs
Hmm.
to go.
Yeah.
Probably helpful because you probably have a better sense just,
Perspective. Yep.
yeah, just from letting your brain mull on some of those ideas
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
what
Yeah.
keep it.
When the excitement's high and you're trying to make dinner and all the kids need all the things and trying to get everything wound up before bedtime, your brain can be a little unreasonable. So by the time you go to bed, you're like, oh, that wasn't that big of a deal. But
But I do think taking the time to process with the brain dump helps you be more aware of those times
hmm,
and process those and realize like, oh, I made a big deal out of that. And now I see that it wasn't that big of a deal. And so
that's
then
true.
next time it happens, I think you see it for what it is sooner.
Yeah, I can
That's,
see that. Yeah, instead of being wrapped up in the moment and being overcome by it. That's a good point. I like that. I'll have to remember that.
so how are you using brain dumps moving forward? Or are you just going to keep the grabbing scraps of paper as necessary or?
Thought about working through community coaching. It's and streamline your homemaking, I think it is, where you need to get a notebook for your brain dump. And I have a notebook that was kind of brain dumps, it's kind of random stuff. And that I think will probably become my brain dumping notebook where I can just add it on to it. And then it has a specific place and I don't throw things away or they get lost. And then it's a little bit more confined. So I think I'm going to try to get that notebook out, work on those things, and keep it a little more organized.
Yeah, I find the cheapest notebooks have been the best brain dump notebooks
Hmm.
for me because
Yeah,
the feeling of not messing it up, like, oh, this is just something. If I end up not liking it, it was 50 cents. It was a 50.
right. Right. It's not one of the fancy ones with tabs and post-its and all the other fancy things. Yep. And you don't feel bad for throwing it away. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man.
So, do you have any final thoughts for ladies who might be resistant to the idea of brain dumping?
Just try it. Just try it one time. And if you don't know what to brain dump about your day, I've also started doing a gratitude journal. For the longest time, I thought the gratitude journal had to look a certain way. I'm brain dumping about my day, basically, in my gratitude. I'm trying to think back, okay, what funny things did the kids do? What good things happened? What that's a good brain dump for me, a good way to end my day, and also a kind of a form of a prayer. So if you don't know where to start with gratitude, start with how the day went in general. Just try it once. If you don't like it, great. But if it makes your brain feel a little bit lighter, then it was all worth it. And it can only take a few minutes. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just do it however makes sense to your brain and go forward.
That's so good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Taking even 5 minutes to reflect on what's happened in your life and what God is doing in your life is so fruitful, like Annie was saying. If you want to give that a shot, but you aren't sure how to even get started, then don't let perfectionism stop you. Grab my free brain dump guide and take even just 5 minutes to reflect on your life and what's in your head and what's going on so that you can move forward with gratitude and purpose. You can get that free brain dump guide by going to simplyconvivial.com/brain dump, all one word, brain dump, at simplyconvivial.com, or find the link in the description of this episode. I think that it will help you to repent, rejoice, repeat.